Good morning. It is Thursday, December 2nd. Our agenda is we will be working in Unit 5, Lesson 10 of Code.org, Traversals Investigate. Okay, what is due is U5L4 make the U5L3 list practice, right? Probably also your U5L7. Students will be able to explain and investigate the purpose of programming patterns with traversals, both in terms of how they work and what they can accomplish. Identify common programming patterns using traversals. Okay, we are in Unit 5, Lesson 10. You do need to open your code.org. Let's get in there. Traversals investigate. Okay, we've got our traversal machine. Remember how it works. It shows what's being put into element. All right, so do this. Get into groups of 4, and I'll assign each student in a group a different letter, A, B, C, and D. Navigate to level 1, all right? Read through the entire code. Each student focuses their attention on a single function. Reread the code for that function. Student A does the average, which is lines 32 to 38. B does slow, lines 40 to 48. C does fast, lines 50 to 58, and D does numbered list display, lines 60 to 66. Okay, let's take a couple minutes, go in there, look at that code. Pause video. Okay, so now discuss in your group, how does your function work? Explain how your piece of the puzzle works. All 4 of you will teach each other about the one piece. What list does it use? How is it traversed using a for loop? So then we'll discuss as a class with a little random calling. All right, let's take a couple minutes, discuss between yourselves, then we'll do some calling. All right, let's see where we are. So now that we finished calling, modify with a partner, create a function that adds together the total time of every element in the list. Console log the result, call this function in the update screen function, okay? So create a function that adds together the total times of every element in the list. Console log the result, call this function in the update screen function, okay? So in level 1, local variables are used. Mile times traverses a data set, checking each item. Average is updated by dividing the value stored in total by the total number of elements in mile times. It's just getting an average, right? Okay, let's navigate to level 2 with a partner. Read through the code and run the app. What looks new? Open the data tab, investigate. How does it work? What information is available? What can you change? What can't you change? Investigate a few different data sets. Okay, let me give you a couple minutes to do that. I think we're saying 5. All right, let's continue. All right, here's a little video.
Hi, my name is Ariana, and I'm going to show you how to use the Data tab in AppLab. When viewing an AppLab project or an AppLab level, you might have noticed that there are 3 tabs: the Code tab, the Design tab, and the Data tab. When you click on the Data tab, you'll be taken to a data library where you can see different categories of data sets that you can use in building your programs and apps. You can click on a category to see the different data sets within that category. Click on a specific data set to see a little more information about that data set. When you click on more info, you'll be taken to a different page that tells you more about the source of the data, any cleaning up of the data that may have happened, and information about each column. You can also click this preview button to see what columns are included, as well as some of the data that's in your data set, so you can see if you're interested in using it. Click the X at the top right to return to the Data tab. Any of these data sets can be imported and used in any program or app that you're building. Before you can use a data set in your code, you'll first need to import it. Let's say I wanted to import a data set in the geography category, like this US states data set. When I click on the name, I have the option to import by clicking on this orange import button. Then I can click on the name on the right to preview. Now I can see all of the data in columns. Any of these columns and any of these data sets can turn into a list in your project's code. If I wanted to, I could make a separate list for every column here. Once I've imported, I'm ready to use the data in my code. I'll click back to data and then click over to the code tab. The first thing I'll do is create a new variable that will hold a list. I'll call it state names. Now, to get the data from the data tab into this list, I'll go over to the data drawer and pull out the get column command. Next, I select the name of the table I've imported. Now I can pick which column I want to use. I'm going to pick state names, but you can choose any of these down here. Because get column returns a list, meaning it gives you back a list, you don't need to create a separate list. Notice there are no brackets here. When I print out what's in this list, you'll see that we have a full list in the console log. Notice the bracket and all 50 state names in this list. Once you have this list in your program, you can use it just like any other list. So you can traverse over it, filter it, or anything you might do with another list. And this allows you to make really exciting, powerful, and interesting programs.
Okay, moving on. All right, so now modify the code. Choose a data set and import it to your project. Look at the code, check out the data drawer in the toolbox. Modify to print out a column of data from your chosen data set, just like we saw with the get column. Okay, navigate to level 3 with a partner and follow the directions on the screen. Read the code very carefully. This is the random dog picker. What are the names of the 5 lists in the program? On what lines of code are the lists created? On what lines of code are the lists filled? How are these lists filled? Open up the data tab and click to view the dogs table. What columns does this app use? Look at the filter function. On what lines are the filtered lists reset to blank lists? What condition is being checked to determine if an element belongs in a filtered list? Wow, that's a lot. Let's take 5 minutes and look at this, and then we'll do some calling. Okay, let's find out what everyone learned. Okay, moving on. What aspects of using traversals to process a list do you already understand? What questions do you want to dig into more tomorrow during the practice session? Great work. Nice day. Okay.